Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Violeta Laverde. I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for the material design for face-to-face environments course. Okay, I will answer the first question, which is, what should English language learning materials have? I think they should impact the learner, and they also have to be very interesting, to the learner. It must sparkle curiosity through a series of resources, and I will start with the first one. The first characteristic that should have a material. People who create materials should take into account the target students, because it's not the same to teach, a group of people from Colombia, and comparing to people from Africa, because we have different cultures, a different language, and different background. So this is like the first characteristic that I think they should take into account. And also the materials should be challenged but achievable. That means that they should be not too much easy, not too much difficult. They also should sparkle curiosity, and also sparkle, the students' interest, because motivation is one of the most important factors when learning a language, and this goes like together. They should have very beautiful and colorful illustrations, and this is more for visual students, visual learners. And finally, of course, they should have a variety of topics that allows the students to have like different points of view, and they also can choose different resources that interest them. So I think this is like the 5 most important characteristics that the materials should have. Materials should also take into account the variety of students who attend to a classroom. This is so important because not all the learners learn the same way. We have different kind of learners. We can start with the first one. We have visual students who learn better from watching TV, watching movies, appreciating images and illustrations. We have the auditory students who really enjoy listening to music, listening to the teacher, and listening conversations. We have the kinesthetic student who really enjoys hands-on activities. They like to be in constant movement. We have the studial students who really enjoy sitting in a classroom, listening to the teacher, reading books, studying the books. We have the experiential ones, like the kinesthetic. They like to move. They like to do activities that allow them, to experiment their learning. We have analytic. They use math. They use steps when learning something. We have the global and the dependent and the independent students. The dependent students, they need extra help from the teacher. They need that support always when learning, while independent students learn better from studying by themselves. Proposals for principal approaches to the development of ELT materials. Tomlinson follows 6 main approaches when creating ELT materials. He thinks this is better than following bestsellers materials that are already in the market when creating something new. The first approach is a prerequisite for language acquisition is that learners are exposed to a rich, meaningful, and comprehensible input of language in use. This means that the students should be in contact with the target language all the time. The students need to be exposed to a variety of circumstances and situations that allow them to make meaningful connections in their learning process. We have the second approach, which says that in order for the learners to maximize their exposure to language in use, they need to be engaged both affectively and cognitively in the language experience. That means that in order to make learning effective and durable, learners should feel motivated and happy when learning a second language. This proposal states that the cognitive and affective aspects are linked to the success of students who are learning a second language. The third principal approach is that language learners who achieve positive affect are much more likely to achieve communicative competence than those who don't. This proposal says that learners have to be, happy about their learning environment, about their teachers, about their materials, in order to have an enjoyable learning experience. The fourth approach is L2 language learners can benefit from using those mental resources which they typically utilize when acquiring and using their L1. That means that students should be able to use mental images used in L1 in order to acquire the L2. Achieving this makes students use the second language in a variety of settings and situations as they do in the first language. We have the fifth proposal, which is language learners can benefit from noticing salient features of the input. The main purpose of this principle is to raise awareness of what the students are learning. Students tend to learn better from self-discovery, and if they notice about how to use the features of the L2, they would be able to relate it to their own experiences, and the learning process would be more effective. And the last one, learners need opportunities to use language to try to achieve communicative purposes. This principle is related to the idea that the students need to be in constant touch with the second language. This allows them to improve, their communicative skills and make them achieve their language goals.